povestea unui cetățean american venit și stabilit în județul nostru, în județul Argeș, care a deschis o broderie și brodează modele românești, motive românești. De asemenea, este creștin ortodox, încă de când era în America, e născut și crescut și botezat sub credința creștin-ortodoxă, iar numele lui este Timothy Farrell.
Hello.
Hello. What can you say about you? Please introduce yourself in...
Well, as you said, I'm Timothy Farrell. I moved to Romania now in May of 2018, I think. Yes, almost 2 years in Romania. And after we moved, we were able to sort out opening our embroidery and fabric printing shop so that we can offer services in Romania for Romanians. And that's this winter, that's what we're focusing on, is finding local ways to locally make things rather than sending or buying things from overseas. Many times you can have it made right here, and now you can help your neighbor, and you can have something very unique.
Okay. Can you please tell us a few words about your family?
Well, I come from a big family, but in America sometimes families are kind of distant from each other. They're not close like sometimes Romanian families are. I have 6 brothers and 2 sisters, and I probably won't see them again in my life unless I decide to fly here, because I'm committed to staying in Romania and building a life here and helping my wife and her children.
Okay, what can you please tell us about Romanian dishes? How did you find Romanian food when you came here?
My first time I came, and this will put a different color on everything. I came in 1996. For the first time. And I didn't come to big cities. I came to a very small comuna and, well,
villages and... Okay.
Yeah, villages that are at the end of the road. When you go to the village, you get to the end and you have to turn around because there's nowhere else to go. There's not even a road that goes through them. The way food is, back then especially, was very different. But because it was all just basic food, it was eggs and bread most of the time that I was there, and occasionally some chickens. They would. I remember one time the people were talking and I was visiting, and they said, "Oh, come over here." And so I was watching this woman pluck feathers off of a chicken head, and I didn't think anything of it until a few hours later we had chicken soup, and I said, "Oh, the chicken soup, that's the chicken that she killed just a few hours ago and cleaned the feathers off."
A bit of a shock for you.
Well, yeah, because in America, all our food comes from the store. Our chicken's
already killed.
Yeah, it's already killed. It's already no feathers, and if you want chicken soup, it comes in a can. How do you?
It comes in a can.
Yeah.
But what about traditional dishes such as sarmale, mămăligă?
It is interesting because in America we don't have terribly a lot of traditional dishes that are American. We just have everybody's traditional dishes.
Okay, but
so there are some places where you can get stuffed cabbage rolls, and I had some from Lebanon. A Lebanese lady made the sarmale, but it was Lebanese, so it wasn't sarmale. And I remember the Hungarians made good sarmale, although they call it something different.
Yes, but they are different from the Romanian.
Yeah.
The recipe.
The recipe's a little different, but it's still the cabbage and the meat.
And the meat, yes, and
cabbage and the meat, and then
same procedure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you please tell us about orthodoxy in America versus orthodoxy here in Romania? Which are the differences and the similarities between those two?
In the past year, I've been able to grasp a little bit more the differences. When I came just for 2 weeks, I didn't touch people in church that much. You know, I came, I was there for one service and I was in another city, so I never really saw that. I go to church at the same church now every week and sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, and so I understand more of the people. And in Romania, you don't have to be reminded of Orthodox things because it's normal life. And so some things are just assumed because it's like, well, of course you're breathing. Oh, okay. But in America, most of them, especially older Americans, people have been in America and haven't been back to their home countries or anything for 100 years, they have to find orthodoxy and they have to kind of understand what's being said.
Discover it.
They have to discover it. Well, we discovered orthodoxy about 65 years ago. So we don't think about that. We don't,
Okay. If you, as an American, have came to Romania, obviously you have visited different countries also. Is there another country which you would like to have moved to instead of Romania?
I don't think so. I think Romania came up in my a spiritual quest, and I was looking for somewhere to go. I didn't know exactly what my plans were, but I was looking for something outside of the United States and somewhere that was in having some problems. That was back when there was communists here, and I said, I want to go to those areas. And as time went on, the Romanian country became the country for me to go to. So because I'm trying to be obedient to God, other countries are not part of my consideration because, well, I don't feel like God has told me to go there. So I don't even want to consider going there because there's no reason to be there. If God wants someone there, he can find someone to go there. And so there's people that like the other countries, and so it becomes interesting in that respect.
How do you find Romanian people, generally speaking? Are they closer to each other than American people or Western people generally?
If you're talking about now during this pandemic, they're a lot more like Western people. I remember the first times I came to Romania, and there was no real line at the train. I traveled by train because I wasn't sure about driving in this strange country, and it was expensive. So I said, I just go walk. I don't have any rush to be anywhere. But buying a ticket at the train station was an adventure because I like to stand in a line, and what you have to do is you have to press through a crowd in Romania. So they were very close.
We know this. You had to discover it. Yes.
Yeah.
We know.
But now everybody's keeping their distance, and it's almost like, oh, it's like
Thanks
America.
to the pandemic. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. But I also found that on the first trips, the Romanian people had no problem having a stranger come to their house. And strangers, people that probably never saw a stranger, they of course welcomed me. I remember one place that I was in the woods and I saw that there was a road and I said, okay, it's going in the right direction. And someone came by the horse cart and said, please come to our house. And I came there and I had my supper, I had a place to sleep, I had a big breakfast, and they gave me a big packet of food to take with me. And they didn't know me from anybody, and at that time I was traveling very poor, so I couldn't even give them anything. It was just like, you know.
So you have discovered the Romanian hospitality, which
Yeah.
Indeed it is.
It is more, there's other countries that say, oh, we're very hospitable. But then when I look at Romania versus them, it's like, you don't understand what that means.
What hospitality is.
You don't know what hospitality is.
What can you tell us about embroidery as a business, and how did you discover it? When did you learn how to embroider something?
Well, I snatched my wife out of the country of Romania, and I brought her to the United States, and she found a job with a large firm that does embroidery for big companies and they were busy, but I didn't like the way they treated her. So I began to look and see what are the economics of this, and can we fire the company instead? And so I looked at it and said, it's not terribly hard to do as long as you're comfortable with the computer some, because I don't have to be like a seamstress and use my hands to make gobelin. Actually, I can do the gobelin on the computer, and then the computer does it. So you don't have to have good hands. You just have to be willing to express yourself some.
You have to be willing to do something.
Yeah,
course.
willing to do something.
And have a bit of some imagination.
Some.
Of course, because you have to create your own design. You have to analyze and view and design and produce your own product.
Yes. Sometimes people call and they have their own logos. In the fall and in the summer, I was looking around at local companies, and I would go and find their logo and make them a shirt to introduce myself and say, this is the kind of work that we can do for you. Here's one for free. And so some of them, one of them, they called us back in 2 or 3 minutes and said, how come you only delivered one? It's like, well, you didn't order any, so I can't deliver more than one. But before the pandemic, I was working on different designs of shirts to sell in some of the tourist areas in the area. Just things that I said, okay, maybe this will work. And I can make just 1 or 2. If they sell, I can make more. If they don't sell, then I can wear them myself.
For our viewers, see, you don't know, but I can tell you that Tim and I, we know each other 2 years now?
About 2 years.
About 2 years. Okay, Tim doesn't see this coming, but can we please ask him to tell us how his journey of traveling America by bike was? Can you please tell us about it?
By motorcycle?
From pilgrim to a biker boy. Can you please tell us the whole story?
Before I came to Romania, I felt that God was saying, go to Romania and stay there the rest of your life. And I said, okay, but I don't have everything, finances in order. I don't know, well, and when you're following God, sometimes it's not your job to put things in order. But I decided I would take I found a motorcycle was made available to me, and they said, if you can drive it, you can have it. So I was able to take it and get it where it could be driven, and I drove it all the way around the edges of the United States because I was going to say goodbye to the United States for the last time. So I wanted things that I didn't quite see. I decided to go and take the time.
20 to 30,000 miles?
No.
Journey?
Well, yeah, it could be. 20,000.
20,000.
It's 3,000 each side for maybe only 10,000. You sent me K-Play's logo, so I took it off of, I'm taking it from the chip, and I use Corel Word Draw.
Okay.
And I can see the size of it, and usually 100 millimeters is a good size for most logos. What I'm going to do is take all the white.
The white out.
The whites out. Yeah, there. Now I can do it the proper size. I'm always thinking of millimeters instead of centimeters.
Yeah, around 4 inches.
Yeah, or 10, yeah, which is usual for the chest. For a professional logo is usually about that size, unless they're just, there's something like K-Play. If you were doing an event, I would say, why don't you do some big front shirts to give away to people so that they could say, oh, they're such a great television station, we have to watch them all the time. Or choose a proper format for print. The printing takes a little different format than the embroidery file.
Okay.
So there it is.
Without any...
You see all that's the blank areas. And so I can look and see there's no whites around. And we've done the basic work. Normally if I get an order, but I know there's sometimes little things I can do to make things just a little bit better. But if we're doing it, can you give it to me right now? Well, I don't have time to sit
improve anything.
and to improve and to make a little adjustments here and there. Here's a special paper that we have. Black is colored, takes a little bit of extra work because the ink in the cloth will bleed through to the ink on the paper. So in the past years they've developed what's called white toner, which most printers use black as a base. Well, I don't have black. I only have white. That way I can put white underneath everything and put colors on. I can make a black because they just use a bunch of colors and it becomes black. But it makes it so that what I can do is print on black things. So it's going to print 4 of these because it's just easier to, it's just as easy to do 4 as it is to do 1. Well, because the paper is there. And if I had some others that I was doing, I might combine yours and a couple other people's shirts that they just wanted 1 of. And there it is, printing the first one. This is, as you can see, this is not quite ready for your shirt. What we're going to do next is wait for this to heat up. I feel like a mad scientist sometimes. Running here and there.
We really enjoy seeing this process.
So what this has a coating of white on it. So that in addition to the white on the printer, for black I have another layer of white to keep it away from that black ink.
Okay.
Because that black
To have a solid white base.
an extra solid white base.
An extra solid. Okay.
And this is, we just we found a person in town that can sew well enough that she's going to find material and make these Christmas stockings for us. So you can buy a Christmas stocking with a personalized message, or as this one, Crăciun fericit, and have it made in Romania, decorated in Romania, and not, you don't have to send Christmas money to some other place. Well, this is a very high, a low-end professional model because it's only one. These kind of machines sometimes will have 15 of these. They're called heads. This sewing unit, there'll be 15 all connected. So they would do, if they would do it, they don't want to do one name because one name still means they have to take 15 slots up for that one piece. But if they were doing Crăciun fericit all over the place, well, then they could just do that 15 at a time. And not on this. They have the bigger machines. Yeah, this I chose this one because I wanted a lot more options. And there's amazing things that they've done.
And can it sew different colors at the same time?
No, just one color at a time. It's only.
But you can make a design with different colors.
Yeah, I can tell it.
Și aici avem modelul cu Vioasei Parascheva, o icoană brodată, așa se vede pe spate. Putem vedea nivelul detaliilor, ochii care au și albul ochiului, conturul nasului, gura, sprâncene, tot ce trebuie. Modele pentru diferite firme, tot așa cu mai multe culori. Avem Sfântul Teodor, da? Sfântul Mare Mucenic, un alt model realizat de Tim, icoana lui Isus, iar Tim nu le-a făcut pentru a le vinde, le-a făcut pur și simplu pentru el. Avem aici Saint Timothy, așa, apostolul, și modelul pe spate, care e încheiat, pot spune aproape la fel ca pe față, cu mici noduri. Aici avem o broderie pe un suport moale care a necesitat o întăritură. So now the press is hitting.
Yep.
It's at 144 now.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm taking these two papers
Okay.
and putting them where the ink is on outside. Now what I'm going to do is melt or heat up the ink on the purple paper that was here, and it's going to stick onto the yellow. No, the yellow paper is going to stick onto the purple. We'll figure it out in a minute. Let me just make sure.
On the transfer paper. Okay.
Yeah, it's a two-step transfer to do black. And so this has a minute here.
The process is not that simple, so you don't put the canvas on a printer and that's it. As you
Well,
can.
There are lots of different ways to print on shirts. There is one that you put it like you're putting it on a piece of paper, and you put it in, and it actually prints directly from the inkjet printer onto that. It's a lot more expensive. There's still some technical details that haven't been worked out. They have problems with the ink dries in the system.
Which part do you like more? The embroidery or the printing?
Depends on how energetic I am to do this.
So now the transfer is ready.
So I have to take this when it's hot.
Okay.
And I have these ready to put on shirts.
So now the job is ready 50%.
Yeah, we're about halfway there. I think I like embroidery a little bit better because there's sometimes some very interesting things that you can do with the embroidery, like the icon of Saint Peterskiva, where I took the clothes, which are not an essential part of well, they're essential part, but they're not the most important part of an icon, is the clothing. The important things are the face and the crown and all that. So I decided to minimize the look of the clothing, and at the same time let it mix together, because when you're wearing clothes, you can see, even in a black shirt, it's actually not always all black. There's little waves of stuff. So that's
So now you have to heat the shirt.
Yeah, I want to heat the shirt up because sometimes it's humid in the shirt. There's humidity in the shirt.
And the paint won't stuck it.
Yeah, and it's not perfectly flat, so I just let it. And I've had shirts that you could see steam come off the edges.
Like now.
Let's see how nice and flat it is now.
So this, the logo can be placed
Yeah.
on
And
the
we put
middle,
it-
on the sides.
Well, we
It's
put it
not-
right here on the left chest.
Okay.
Normally, unless the customer wants to do something very different. So then we close this again.
For 2 minutes. Right?
No, the last one was a 1 minute, but I forgot what I was doing. And so this is only about 20 to 30 seconds.
Okay. And now the paint is transferred on the shirt.
Well,
Okay.
it's in the process of that. What I'll do next is a little.
Oh, so this isn't the final process?
No, there's still.
Oh.
Okay. This, in order to stick onto the shirt, needs to be cold. So,
You have to leave it here to be cold.
yeah.
Okay.
So I carefully. The ink is mostly okay,
Okay.
but to make it a little bit more durable, this is a special non-stick paper, just the paper you use for oven paper.
for cooking.
Yeah, the same paper. Well, maybe it's a little
The
thinner.
waxy one. Okay.
If I didn't put that on there, this would melt onto this iron here.
And will stick on the iron.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, that's a mistake.
And
This is 30 seconds.
do these machines need any maintenance, any cleaning?
Not this one, unless you get it dirty.
Okay, so if you are careful enough,
Then
no
there's
extra work needed.
no
Okay.
extra work needed. And most of the things, this needs to be oiled some, but it's pretty durable. So if you forget sometimes, it just says,
Oh, so the maintaining them, it's not that hard.
no.
Okay.
Because they sell to factories, and the factories don't want to spend time maintaining equipment. They want to spend time using it,
them.
using the equipment.
După cum puteți vedea, sigla noastră, ca play, da? A fost un proces de câteva minute în care Timothy a printat pe un tricou negru, ne-a explicat, dacă ați urmărit conținutul, că e mult mai simplu să printezi pe alb decât pe negru, dar chiar și printând pe negru, făcând o bază albă și apoi o bază colorată, timpul nu este mare, timpul de execuție nu este mare. This is the finished product.
This is now finished.
Okay. And it can be washed, it can
Well,
be
there's a
burned. Normal.
we don't want to wash it for 2 days.
Okay, for 2 days.
For 2 days because it's still a little bit not cured.
Okay.
So it's a little bit soft, the ink.
After this,
After 2 days,
you can
and
use it normally.
well, it's the safest way is to put it inside. Put
With the inside out.
Yeah, inside out. That way it doesn't get the agitation.
Okay.
That's the difference between for embroidery. I don't care what you do because with embroidery, the shirt will fall apart before the embroidery falls apart. But with printing, the printing will degrade before as the shirt degrades.
Yeah, inside out at 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Okay.
And no calca.
No ironing on the print.
Yeah.
We have seen the embroidering process, the printing process. How do you find living in Romania from this angle, from as finances? Because we know US is the inventor of capitalism, of what we all live today. But how do you find this capitalism in Romania? Because here the wages are very low and the prices are high. How do you find this thing here in East?
Well, I can't speak to the prices. I mean, I can't speak to wages because I make my own money.
You make your own money, but you can
So-
see around you.
But one of the things because I'm an administrator of a business, we looked at having employees, and I knew the business rules in America, how much it costs to have an employee. In America, if I want to pay you let's say $100 a week as my employee, I will have to give the government around $25 more in taxes, and some of that's coming from you, and some of it I have to pay also. If I want to pay you as an employee in Romania, and I want to pay you $100, I'm going to give the government about 75. In addition to that 100, so it'll cost me 175 for you, as opposed to America, which would be 125.
Romania, it's more expensive to have employees
Yeah,
than in America.
and I think
This is why.
you have so many non-contract workers.
What do you think about Romanian products or the products sold here?
Well, when I came here, I brought peanut butter with me. And when I ran out, I said, okay, I'm done eating American peanut butter. I'm done eating peanut butter. And now instead of peanut butter, I have pate.
Oh, you have pate?
Yeah, that's what I use instead of peanut butter. Because
But you
it's
know that the pate is made from the liver of chicken. Ducks
from
and-
ciuperci, from ardei gras,
the
from
vegetable one.
broccoli, spinach.
And do you find it more tasteful than peanut butter?
What's different? Yeah,
It's not sweet.
it's not sweet, and it's just it's a nice way to put something on the bread, so you're not eating plain bread.
Plain bread.
Yeah. But that became instead of peanut butter was pate, and there's a lot more choices in pate. Well, even in the meat sections of pate, and then the regular other vegetarian and pate de poche, there's a whole lot of things there and different brands. So you have to figure out, well, which company do I like their pate?
I would like you to give a message to those that always complain but never do anything, and you have a success here in Romania. So see, many people complain that they can't do anything, they can't develop a business, they can't find a proper job, but you came here to Romania and you have success. What what can you teach other people to do to have the same success as you had?
You can always start small. You can always do a little thing. One person that I sold my embroidery machine to in America, she was very poor. She had kids, and then she had to take care of her grandkids. She couldn't have a job because she had too many kids to be taken care of. She started just going to like Carrefour or Auchan and buying all sorts of small gifts and putting them in a basket and selling the baskets. And she would spend maybe 100 maybe on a basket and sell it for 200. And then she would go out and take that 200 and buy 2 more baskets. And then she would have
Make 400.
400. And then she keeps 100, then she makes 3, and she starts going. And then people start saying, oh, can you make me one? Can you make this? Can you make that? And so she became that. She started just repairing clothes and just had not a sewing machine. She was just repairing clothes by hand.
She was sewing
By hand. What money does that cost? A needle, just a few ron. But you have to practice. You have to learn to develop that skill, and then she got where she made dresses for fancy events. Like Bobocelor, in America, when at the end of the year, all the kids have a big party and they all want special dresses.
How is it called?
Proms.
The proms.
Yeah, they all want that special dress, and she's busy always doing that because
It's more money for her.
more money,
Okay, so
and people all know that's where she goes. She bought the embroidery machine because it could be added to what she does, so she has more that she can do.
yes,
And
because
so you start a little bit. What skill do you have? Everybody has some skill.
some skill.
Maybe you have to. It's hard to look for it, but there's something. You know,
How
well,
to repair shoes. Do it professionally, but start small. So
You know
that's
how
the
to-
main message.
well,
to start
no.
small.
in this area, you know how to take pears off of a tree. Yes,
Yeah.
there it is. There's money. Go pick the pears and sit on the side of the road and sell them as they go by during the tourist area times.
So the
And then you can start from doing more from that. You could start experimenting with what you could make with pears. And if it doesn't go good, one doesn't go good, try something else. Because maybe you tried it and it's like, well, that's not going to work.
yes, but never.
But try and go a different direction.
So you have to start until you meet success.
Yeah, and
Start
keep
go
starting
over
and
and over and over until you
Yeah.
hit that success. Okay, so this is a good message. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for everything. Am avut plăcerea să-l cunoaștem pe Timothy Farrell, da? Așa cum v-am spus în introducere, pentru cei care nu ați urmărit introducerea, s-a mutat în Argeș cu familia, da? Soția lui este româncă, au trăit împreună în America timp de 15 ani după care au venit aici și au pornit de la zero o afacere de succes. Cu broderie, cu printuri și cu multe alte chestii custom. Așa cum știți, America este țara tuturor lucrurilor custom, mașini custom, haine custom și așa mai departe. Așa și Tim face lucruri custom, face broderie, printuri și... Also, Tim, please tell us, how can people find you?
I'm almost only on Facebook
Okay.
at Authentic Adorable.
Authentic Adorabil pe Facebook.
Yeah, and there has pictures of what I've been doing recently, and from there you can contact me through Facebook, or if you're driving by, you can take one of my business cards. And
Atelierul se află în comuna Albești, județul Argeș, deci de la Curtea de Arges spre lacul Bâlea, vreo 5 km.
Da.
Da, Tim vorbește și un pic de limba română, ne înțelege. Ce să mai vă mulțumim și sper să vă fi plăcut conținutul nostru.